What is up, everybody? Hello. Hope everybody has had a good week. We are broadcasting live a little bit. A little new show going on called the Greg Nosar Show, man. This is going to be awesome. Just talking about sports, man. I know we talk about fishing a lot, but I am a big sports fanatic, and man, I just love talking sports. So I figured I have a camera and I have a microphone, and I'm going to talk a little bit of sports. And man, it was a heck of a week in sports, man. And I'm going to bring on my good buddy, Mr. Jeremie Baker. Juice, What's up? What is up, my friend?
Man, how are you today?
Man, I'm excited. Welcome to the inaugural show.
The inaugural show. I like it, man. Well, I don't have a microphone, but I do have a camera and a laptop, so I'm gonna join you as long as you let me.
That's it, man. That's awesome, dude. So, man, look, as I said, we know each other obviously from fishing, but man, that's our passion, that's our life. But I just love sports, man. I just love sports, all about it. I'm a sports geek. I played just about every sport you can think of, man. If it has a ball in a stick or whatever, man, I'm all about it, man.
We actually played a kickball tournament today, a little local thing that our community does once a year. So anytime there's sports involved, sign me up.
Absolutely, man. Well, dude, let's just get into it, man. I mean, enough of the small talk, man. Big news, man. SEC football. Man, you have Texas and Oklahoma.
Wow.
Going to the SEC. Now, I'm going to brag on Texas a little second. Texas, they said everything's bigger in Texas. And Texas always talks about how they want to succeed from the United States, and they want to be on their own. But their colleges don't, because Texas A&M and Texas want to be a part of the SEC, bro.
They do. And look, I saw this and I was completely blown away. I disagreed with it for a ton of different reasons. But at the end of the day, man, money talks. Money talks.
It does, man. I mean, look, the Big 12 has been a part, of my childhood, man. The Red River rivalry.
Yeah.
I mean, you had, dude, all the greats came out of the Big 12, man. I mean, for a long time, man. I mean, shoot.
That's Vince Williams. And
I mean, it was insane. I mean, Texas, Oklahoma football, was a mainstay on Saturday morning. Saturday mornings, we're always talking about, the major matchups, and the Big 12 was a big part of it, man. And then the SEC came along and absolutely started dominating, college football here in the last 10, 15 years, man. Obviously Alabama got their stuff together with Nick Saban, man, and they've just been a powerhouse. It's been, no one has competed on the same level. No one has competed on the same level as them. No. And I'm concerned about college football, dude.
I am. I really am. A lot of teams hate. Look, if you're not in the SEC, you hate the SEC. If you're not with Alabama, you hate Alabama, and that's just how it's been for over a decade now. I mean, really, it's been like that. It's been a one-man show. You got LSU that kind of had their one-hit wonder. Auburn kind of did the same thing. But really, outside of that, there's just really hadn't been that mainstay like the Texas and Oklahoma's in the Big 12. And now all of a sudden you've got, them guys, they want to come over here. It's going to change a lot of stuff up. Obviously, I've seen several different posts about, would the SEC do a pod thing where you've got 4 pods in 2 in each division?
Like super conferences. Yeah, man. Here's my problem with that, man. College football starting to turn into pro football. You know what I mean?
Yeah, money talks. It's all about the money.
I know money talks. I know, man. And, I've got mixed emotions about these college athletes making money, I think that's really going to affect pro sports because, look at these second-tier pro guys. Not, on the level, some of these kids are going to have to make a decision, man. Are they going to go pro or are they going to, sit back? Look, was it Bryce? What's your Alabama Alabama quarterback?
Yeah, almost $1 million.
Yeah, $1 million. The second that they announced that, he's got $1 million in the bank. And
never played a game.
Bryce Young. Yeah, he's not going to sniff pros anytime soon, and he's going to be a multi-millionaire before he even thinks about entering the draft. That's insane to me, man.
Here's my thing, and you kind of have to. Obviously, Greg, we don't make the rules, man. Obviously, we don't get a vote in all this, but we do have an opinion, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. And my opinion basically is, look, these guys, especially, for these bigger schools, they go out and they bust their butt for 4 years. Yeah, they might get a degree, but they're so broke down and washed up by the time the NFL comes calling, they might not be able to play the game that they love at that level, again. And so I kind of get the whole like, hey, let's pay these guys, but we got to put a cap on it. It's somewhere, you don't need an 18-year-old kid as a multimillionaire. You don't. I'm sorry. We don't need that.
You don't. But here's what I'm concerned about, man. I'm concerned about the smaller schools and their football programs, man. I mean, you're in the state of Alabama. I mean, where's UAB going to be? You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, you're going to have 4 power conferences. I think the Pac-12 and the Big 12 will probably wind up combining, and then some schools will get dissolved out of that. You'll probably have 16 schools. What do you get? You have 16 schools out of the SEC, adding in Texas and Oklahoma. But and then if you have the Big 10, the only 2. Well, I mean, you could probably say 3, but you've got Michigan and Ohio State, and possibly Michigan State. I'd throw in there as a powerhouse football program. That's kind of
they're ball contender every year. I mean, really?
Yeah, but I mean, I think they've got 14 schools. They're going to have to get 2 more, and then West Virginia is in the Big 12. West Virginia is now getting courted by the ACC, which I think is funny because ACC had nothing to do with West Virginia, dude. About 10 years ago, and then that's why West Virginia had to go to the Big 12. Which I'm sorry, West Virginia does not belong in the Big 12. Okay, no. Maryland does not belong in the Big 10. You know what I mean?
Well, geography and everything they don't belong there.
No,
and then you're going to have like the likes of Notre Dame, which is of course in football everybody knows they don't play in a conference. So, where do they wind up? Where do they go? Big 10, probably, more than likely.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm awfully concerned. But with all that being said, you've got 2 powerhouse schools with a lot of money coming in to the SEC. And like you said, money dominates, man.
It does.
I still don't think they have enough firepower to compete on the ranks of Alabama. What are they thinking? Because you take a school like Oklahoma, dude. They're pretty much guaranteed with this new playoff. They're talking about 12 teams going into playoffs. They're guaranteed a playoff position every year. And now they're going to go again into the gauntlet of the SEC, where you have Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, which is not really a gauntlet, but I mean, but they're coming. Yeah, Texas A&M. Obviously Alabama and Auburn, but man,
here's what's going to happen.
I don't know what they're thinking, man.
Here's what's going to happen. And they're going to pave a way to the championship game for them, because they're going to move Alabama and Auburn over to the east side. All right, so the east side is going to be Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, South Carolina, and Missouri. So then your west is going to be the Vanderbilts. You got Texas A&M, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. They're a bowl eligible team.
Don't forget about Kentucky. Kentucky's there.
Well, yeah, I mean Kentucky and Vanderbilt. No offense to them, they're generally the doormats of
second class citizens.
Yeah, I mean they are. And every now and again, Kentucky will win a game they're not supposed to win, and they'll jump up in the top 25 for a little bit.
Right.
Vanderbilt, look, they're a basketball and baseball school. Primarily a baseball school.
Absolutely. And that's what you got to kind of think about. But let's be honest. Football rules, man. I mean, we're not worried about, women's softball or anything like that. And the major focus is on that. No. I know there's Title IX and all that stuff, but let's be real. Football controls everything.
It is. I saw an article the other day. I actually read an article that said that football in the state of Alabama can literally, just at the University of Alabama, can pay for all of the other athletics throughout the year. Football at Alabama pays for all the other athletics. So whatever money the other athletics make just goes right back in.
I'll give you this little nugget. When Johnny Manziel was at Texas A&M, the senior year when he won the Heisman Trophy, he brought in $410 million to the football program.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it.
It's big money, man. I don't care who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because look, that guy was a superstar. Of course, we all know what he did everywhere else he played, but that was a joke.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, the guy made that money. Now, had this NIL been involved years ago, that guy would never have to play another snap again after college, and probably never have to work a real job.
Yep.
Really.
I know. I mean, exactly. I mean, and then with all the other endorsements that they're allowed to get locally, I mean, Texas is still, you know how Texas is, man. I mean, Texas has got a ton of money and they invest. I mean, look, you go to the high school stadiums; they're better than some pro stadiums out there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, I worked out in Texas, and actually, I can't remember the name of Nacogdoches. I think it's where Gene Stallings lives.
Yep.
Gene Stallings, old-time Alabama football coach,
yep.
Worked out in that area during one of the storms. Been out there a few times, and like you said, you pull up and you think you're on a university campus, like you really do. And you look at their football field; it's turf. It's and these are smaller schools. These ain't the big powerhouse schools.
I mean, Texas football is. I mean, it's a god. I mean, it is. It's their life. I mean, and obviously they call Friday Night Lights for a reason and all that stuff, and that's great, man. But I do worry, man, because there's this. I mean, look, I'm an entrepreneur. I believe in free markets. I believe in capitalism, and if somebody's going to pay you to do something, then you should be able to use your likeness and all that stuff. I'm glad that the NCAA lost it. I think the NCAA is like an anarchist, freaking. Business. I mean, they've been making billions off the people's backs and these kids' backs for many, many years, and I think it's a shame. But at the same time, these kids get a quality education at the cost of freaking school now. I mean, these guys are on scholarship, and the cost of school now, man. I think it's a fair trade, man. You play athletics, you're getting, some of these scholarships now are running $150,000.
Yeah.
And I think even more so now when we put money in their pocket, a lot of these kids' dreams and hopes going to the pro level, after they get a little bit of taste of what money's all about, they want, to try to reach that even more, money status, try to get to the bigger picture. A lot of these kids, man, I think it's like 0.8% of these kids who are in athletics go to the pros.
Yeah, it's not much. It's not much at all.
But does this open the door for even more, I'll just call it out, cheating, performance enhancing, drugs, more backroom deals, the recruiting, obviously. I mean,
that's the recruiting.
That's what I'm more concerned about. You know?
Yeah. I mean, because here's the thing: if you're Nick Saban and I'm Brian Harsin at Auburn, big time rivals, Alabama and Auburn, big time rivals. If I walk in and I can say, hey, I can guarantee you to start tomorrow, and you walk in and you're just like, look, you're probably going to sit a couple years, but we're going to bring these endorsements to your front door. Where are you going to go? Because all of a sudden you graduate high school and you've got $150,000 in the bank. I mean, that's the nature of the beast. So recruiting is going to drastically change.
Oh, the rich is going to get richer,
Yeah.
But here's the deal. I mean, even if Oklahoma and Texas get into this, okay, you still are nowhere close to what Alabama's football program is.
No.
Okay. So
monetarily, yes, but like the actual football, no.
Correct. So would it be more profitable for a student to be a quarterback of Texas or a quarterback of Alabama?
Well, I mean, it depends on if you're there for the money or if you're there for the championships, because obviously, Alabama can't compete with Texas financially. Like, we just can't.
No. No one can.
Football program, there you can probably run some numbers and kind of maybe compare a little bit, but as far as like the big wigs that come out of Texas, that's oil country,
right?
A lot of oil out there, a lot of money, a lot of old money.
A ton of money. We call that old money out there, man. It's old money.
You can't compete with that.
So no,
if you're there to win a championship, you could probably think about Alabama, but when you compare, and here's the thing, I don't think any coach is going to look at this and say, hey, this isn't going to benefit us in one way or the other, more so than it's going to benefit the kids, because at the end of the day, the kids are going to want to go where they can, number one, play for a championship and compete. All right. If your team's not competing, who cares? Now, all of a sudden, hey, well, I don't really have to step on the field that much if I can leave there a millionaire.
We've seen this in the NBA, man. Coaches lose their power because the players take over. Mm-hmm. Do you fear that with this to come with the NIL?
In some programs, yeah.
Man, see, that's what I believe too. I mean, coaches have ultimate power. They have complete, utter control of their program. And when it goes down, the coaches take the blame and they take the fall. I think with the NIL, the players are going to get empowered, and we're going to see the same crap we see at the NBA, man.
Well, you talk to, and it was, look, when Nick Saban came from the Dolphins, there was no secret why he left, because he couldn't do at the pro level what he could do in college. He couldn't do it. He had a bunch of pro men.
Yeah.
In college, he's got some kids that he can teach, he can train, he can mold them the way he wants to. You get to the NFL, you're there. You don't have to worry about that. So Nick Saban left that atmosphere. He's probably fixing to get that atmosphere back again.
Yeah. And
then you've got some coaches that they'd rather be your buddy than your coach.
Of course.
I heard somebody
that's no offense, but that's parenting at 101 today. I mean, they'd rather be their friends rather than a parent. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And these kids are just reaping the benefits of that, man.
I actually worked with a guy that played for the University of Alabama. I'm not going to mention his name, but he works with me now. Great dude. He was there when Lane Kiffin was there. And he'll tell you, like, straight up, Lane Kiffin, a jam-up coach, but he'll be the first one bellied up to a bar at night with you. And that's just, that he wants to be – people like that want to be your buddy.
Right.
More than want to be your coach.
Right.
So, and that's my thought.
Look, the old way of these disciplinarians, like Nick Saban's, is a throwback, man. Mm-hmm. These disciplinarians like a Bobby Bowden and all these guys that really take control of the field, and the players, they answer to the beat of their drum. I don't know, man.
Speaking of Bobby Bowden, did you hear about, he's terminal?
He is terminal, yes. But he's 92 years old, man. Lived a great life, and he like he said it best. He's ready to go, man.
Yeah, he's from right here in my hometown, Birmingham, and you can go right down the street to a golf course, and they've got, you can see him there on a Saturday afternoon. Not anymore, but used to. It wasn't nothing to go see Bobby Bowden playing 9 or 18 holes.
Well, I'm a huge Florida State fan, or was a huge Florida State fan back in the Bobby Bowden days. But it's sad. I mean, but again, hey, look, kudos to him. Great life, and I tell you what, he's influenced so many great men. A lot of boys to men.
Yeah, absolutely. And his boys, Terry. Terry was at Auburn for a long time, and man, I hated that guy when he was there. But after he left Auburn, and you kind of see what he was about, and what he did. You really think, he probably not as great of a coach as his dad was, but just a top-notch guy, really, what he is.
So with SEC being what it is now, I mean, I think it's 2025, right, is when Texas and Oklahoma are coming in. You also have another school out there hanging out there, man. And do you not think that with all this talk that Clemson is going to be trying to get into this pod? And would SEC not just kick out South Carolina and replace them with Clemson?
I think you're going to have 4 super conferences by the time this is all said and done. It's probably going to take 10 or 12 years. I think the ACC will probably absorb some of the other schools. I really, honestly, and I mentioned Notre Dame earlier, I think you're going to see like a Notre Dame go to the ACC.
I don't think they have a choice.
No,
they're already in there from playing basketball, but I don't think they're going to have a choice because, let me say this. NBC's not going to give Notre Dame any more TV contracts. Man.
Well, look, you got I could be wrong on this. I need to go check my facts, but I talked to a friend of mine the other day, and his daughter, they're big to do at Auburn. $60+ million a year each school gets just for a TV contract. $60 million. Now, Texas already has its own TV network. All right. So the ABCs or the ESPNs or whoever's throwing that money up is probably just going to pay them off.
What do you think about the whole scandal about ESPN being a part of this realignment here, man? I mean, that they're being accused of basically taking these 2 teams out of the Big 12 and putting them into SEC.
Yeah, I think that obviously they want to boost their numbers and their ratings. And, you see the Texases and the Oklahomas. You got 2 jam-up coaches, in my opinion. Steve Sarkisian, he ain't coached a game at Texas yet, but look, he's going to be in the hunt. So now all of a sudden you put Steve Sarkisian and all those the big names out in Texas and Oklahoma, you put them in the SEC with the Nick Sabans and the Mark Ricks and people like that. Why, if you're ESPN and you could pull that off, why wouldn't you? However, I think ESPN had a big play in it because it's going to boost their ratings even higher.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're they have a whole network called the SEC network. I mean,
Yeah.
They have a huge vested interest in this. And then for ESPN to play dumb and all this, I think is ridiculous. I mean, obviously, they're completely denying any of this, and they're saying that Texas and Oklahoma had to choose, and the SEC, has to vote them in, and ESPN has no part of that and all that stuff. Let me tell you something, man. Where's all the money getting paid from to the SEC? You know what I mean? The money is getting paid by ESPN to SEC.
Oh,
right they had a part of this.
Yeah, hands down they do. And look, at the end of the day, like I said, I let off the show with this. Money talks. $60+ million a year for each program. All right. So you do the math. That's a lot of money. I mean, that's more money than you or I'll ever see in a lifetime.
Oh,
for 1 year. And then but that's going to be every year. But 2025, all right, so look at it numbers-wise. CBS, they're at the end of their contract with the SEC. All right, and that's where all this stemmed from. Like, ESPN, CBS got top picks of their 2:30 primetime games because CBS doesn't have a night game.
Which they just lost the SEC contract, by the way.
Right, they lost all that.
To ESPN and ABC.
Right, they were at the end of their contract. So you knew something like this was going to happen.
Yep.
You just didn't know what was going to happen.
Yep.
And to see teams like Oklahoma and Texas venture out and come over was, I was shocked. Really, I was shocked.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, so what's your initial? You said your initial reaction is you're shocked, but what is the good and what's the bad about Texas and Oklahoma moving over, man? I mean, being an SEC guy right in the heart of Alabama, man.
Yeah. Look,
what's Alabama saying about all this?
I'm a diehard Alabama fan, and that's I will never deny that. But I'm a huge football fan. Even if Alabama's not playing on Saturdays, if I'm not fishing, I'm posted up in front of a TV watching football.
Absolutely.
So I follow this stuff religiously.
Yep.
The good and the bad. Obviously, if you're a school president, if you're an athletic director, if you're a head coach, all right, $60 million a year. That's your good. If I'm a fan looking at it, okay, $60 million a year, goes to facilities. That goes to, anything you need it to go, equipment, facilities. Obviously, now you're going to boost your TV availability because now you've got the biggest network in the country that's funding all this in ESPN.
Right.
So you're going to see that. I think the bad is, it comes right along with the name, images, and likeness rule that they've made forth this year. I think all this kind of, when you merge it all together, I think it makes for a massive headache for these coaches to maintain control of their programs. I think the recruiting is going to go crazy. Absolutely crazy.
It's going to be the Wild Wild West, man. Literally. I mean, you're bringing in. I think you're opening the door for absolute fraud. I mean, there is no under the table money now. I mean, people are going to show up with Aston Martins in the driveway. To get your recruit in. I mean, it's going to be ridiculous. These are
19-year-old kids, and that's I watch them play on Saturdays, and I think that's a big guy. Then I have to remember, hey, that's a kid. 19 years old.
They're recruiting these kids in middle school.
Yeah.
I mean, if they have a kid that's oversized and he's an offensive lineman, he's 300 pounds and he's in the 8th grade, man, they're talking to mom and dad already.
Well, look, Coach Saban, if you're watching this show, my son's big, he's huge, and he snaps the ball really well. Just
everybody needs a snapper, man. Special teams or long snapper or even a center, man.
Everybody as big as a house. He makes good grades too. I don't know if that's even going to matter anymore.
It's going to cost $1 million. You know what I mean?
Where's my list? I need them.
But I mean, I'm saddened, man. I really am because, college football is a Stableford, and to see these schools realign again. I mean, how much is this going to continue, man? And somebody gets upset. I mean, you're going to have one dominant conference. The SEC is going to dominate football. I mean, forever. I mean, there's just no way around it. And the fact that you have 12 schools now in the playoffs, I think is ridiculous.
I hate that. No, you're 16 teams in the SEC. All right, so now you're going to take away, let's just think about this for a minute. You're going to have to play every team in your division. All right. So that gives Alabama 7 games. All right. So now you got a 12-team SEC or 12-team playoff. So you're going to have to drop a regular season game, probably.
Correct.
More likely. So let's think about it like this: those little San Jose States and the New Mexico states that used to come play at Alabama, they were getting over $1 million just for that game.
Their schools, man.
Just for that game.
Yep.
So those games go out the window. They go bye-bye.
Yes, because you add in at minimum two games.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too. Are they going to expand their games? You know what I mean? Are they going to expand the number of games that these kids are going to play? And if you have a 12-game playoff, I mean, you're taking the season out almost 12 to 14 games for the champion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it right now? 13? Let's see, 12.
Yeah, it's 13 games for total. So it would actually be almost 15 games because you're adding in 2 more games for the champion.
You don't have to. If you make it all the way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And to throw that kind of amount of games in these kids' face, and a lot of these guys are still growing, man. I mean, a lot of these guys are still, I mean, that's gonna affect their pro career, man. And you're already seeing this because the kids are sitting out these playoffs. They're not risking injury, and so that's another thing too. It's like, you got talented kids that are ready for the pro level. And the quality of these bowl games, dude, they're terrible.
Well, yeah, some of them are. Yeah,
they're terrible.
Absolutely terrible.
Because I mean, they don't have the normal starters. I mean, these kids are being protected, or protecting themselves from injury, and they're ready for the combine. Yeah. So
I mean, if they're not competing for a championship of some sorts. Now, look, here's the deal. If I have the opportunity, at 18 to get a college scholarship, go to college. I want to play every time they open the gates of the field. Like I want to be on that field. If it's a bowl game, if it's a cupcake team, if I'm playing at a D3 school and I'm playing Alabama, fixing to get my eyeballs beat in, I want to be on the field.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're not. You can't consider yourself a competitor.
No.
And just me, I've always wanted to go against the best. These guys now, look. You're going to play these teams that you probably don't get to play throughout the season. You'll probably never play again. You go to the Palmetto State Bowl or just whatever. You're going to play a Michigan. You're going to play more than likely a pretty good team. I mean, you're going to play a average at best team, and you're missing.
I feel sorry for these seniors, man. I mean, they're playing their last games, and so, and their teammates are quitting on them, and I mean, no one wants to go out a loser. I mean, everyone wants to win on their last game. A lot of these seniors that are not making it to the pro level, man. I mean, it means everything to these kids, to finish their college career on a strong note.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're going to open up the combine for more people, because. But here's the thing: I think also you're going to see a very big decline in the amount of kids that leave colleges early. Yeah. And just because they don't have to go now, because they're getting paid. Mama's probably got a new house. Mama's probably got a new car riding around. And, Billy that's played 2 years has probably got, a brand new Tahoe or Suburban he's rolling around in.
Well, I think that's going to help the quality. But, again, the top tier talent will never play. I mean? No matter how much money they've made, because there's even bigger money across the rainbow. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So but again, I think it's gonna help the overall, mid to higher tier talent, but not the best talent, not the pros, that are ready to go. So I don't know, man. Well, talk about Alabama real quick, man. You're that team real well, man. Talk about Alabama. What do we expect this year, man? Bryce Young, what's it going to be like? What's the defense look like, man? The defense was a little shady last year, man.
Yeah.
But, I mean, can anybody dethrone Alabama?
Yeah. I mean, look, anybody can be beat on any given Saturday. I think, and if there's anybody that can get a team's mind right after this huge debacle, it's going to be Nick Saban. The course of the season in the SEC is never easy. I mean, I don't care if you're on the East, you're in the West. It's never an easy season. Alabama, they've got the athletes. I mean, like, my God, you got 5-stars that are sitting on the bench. One gets hurt, you just shuffle in another 5-star.
Right.
That being said, look, we lost a lot. We lost our leader, our quarterback, our running back. We lost some offensive linemen. You lose a lot. But at the end of the day, if you're going based off just talent and just coaching, Alabama should win every game they step on the field. They should. However, you got to play the game. You got to execute. You got to do the right things. It's going to be a tough season. It's going to be a tough season for Alabama. I really look for Texas A&M to be strong again this year. Look, Jimbo Fisher out there, he does a great job.
Oh, he's upset.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's upset about Texas,
and rightfully so. I mean, really, rightfully so. But you got Brian Harsin down at Auburn this year, his first year coach. Don't really know a lot about the guy. I mean,
that was a surprise. I mean, I was surprised about that, man.
I don't think. Well, obviously, that wasn't Auburn's first choice. That wasn't Auburn's first choice at all. No. I was really honestly surprised.
But why would you take an Auburn job? Why would you take it? Because I mean, you're going head to head against Alabama. You're facing them as an in-rival state or in-state rival, and you got to. I mean, everybody knows Alabama is going to be the head of the SEC for years to come.
Yeah,
and I mean, you're second. Like Auburn athletes, I hate to say it, those are guys who couldn't get into Alabama. You know what I mean? Unless their families are like, you're never going to Alabama. You know what I mean? So,
but I can promise you one thing: if old Junior Caden he gets a scholarship to Auburn, Daddy's going to wear the orange and blue and go in there and scream over the I can promise you that. However, look, coaching the SEC, it takes a special kind of man. I don't know much about this guy at all. I've done a little, read some articles, kind of talked to some people, whatever. But he's before he cuts his teeth on anything, he was up at Boise State. Of course, everybody knows Boise State back in the day. I mean, hell, they beat Oklahoma, 100 years ago, it seems like now.
Yeah.
On a miracle Statue of Liberty play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was in. That was a long time. He wasn't even around then. He was probably in high school when that happened. This guy's going to be he's got his work cut out for him. I love to see like a really good, just Iron Bowl, and we hadn't seen one in a while. So I think we're due for one. I hope maybe this guy can do it. Maybe he can resurrect the program. He's got the talent down there.
Right.
They got a running back down there that's Tank Bigsby. He's a stud running back. Bo Nix, that quarterback, he actually went to my alma mater, Pinson High School. So I've always followed him through his career just because I knew who his daddy was and I knew he was a highly touted quarterback. However, Bo Nix was a 60% passer in high school. He's a 60% passer in college. I don't see him doing any much better unless they specifically bring in a quarterback's coach that can teach him. LSU 2 years ago when they won the national championship, they had a running game coach and a passing game coach. Auburn don't have that. Yeah,
you're right, man. And you talking about, by the way, talking about SEC falling from grace, man. LSU and football program. When Joe Burrow left, man, it was the end of it. Yeah. I mean, it was like one and done, man. Look. I was shocked they didn't have somebody in the farm ready to take over, man.
Well, they did, and now he left.
Yes, that's true.
Their backup left, so now they're down to, if Coach O did any kind of decent recruiting, he should be in a better place than he is. LSU was a one-hit wonder. Nobody was in that team that year. Nobody was.
No, that team still. I mean, I think they broke all the college records.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow just absolutely had the best season any quarterback has had in history. Man, that was ridiculous, and their defense was just incredible. Their secondary was absolutely ridiculous. So. Yeah. But I mean, I'm interested to see what happens this year, man, with the SEC. I mean, again, we don't want to completely, be all SEC because I mean there is, the Big Ten. And I think Ohio State still. I mean, they have great, unbelievable talent. They can compete with anybody in the country, man.
Dabo Swinney over at Clemson. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wearing my Bears jersey. By the way, Justin Fields now, the Bears quarterback. Very excited about that, man. I mean, Ohio State does have talent. They have great areas to recruit from. I mean, it just so happens a lot of times Ohio State just recruits from Florida, which it just kills me because how in the heck does Florida State and Florida let these kids go to Ohio State, dude? That's insane.
I don't know. I mean, Florida's always been a hotbed of recruiting. Always been a hotbed.
I know. Nick Saban loves Miami, the area, to recruit out.
He does. Yeah, and look, you can go down to Miami and you can't throw a dead cat without hitting a 5-star athlete. I mean, really, you can't.
100% agree.
You got Florida International, you got Florida Atlantic, you got Florida State, you got Florida. I mean, you've got all these teams that, my God, somebody signed this kid. But then, like you said, he goes up to Alabama, he goes to Ohio State. And you know what I think really what it boils down to? Facilities. I've got a friend of mine.
I think it boils down to money, man. I think it's always been money.
Yeah,
it's always been that way, man. Look, here's what makes me sick. Reggie Bush got slaughtered and crucified at USC.
Oh yeah,
He lost the Heisman, and Reggie Bush demanded his Heisman be returned to him after this NIL thing came out, and NCAA said no because we are not paying. There's no money being paid directly to the athlete to come to USC. Like USC paid Reggie Bush. You know what I mean? It's through endorsement deals and everything else. But come on, man. Where'd that money come from? The same place it's coming from now, man. It's been like that forever. You know?
I'm not going to throw no names out, but the whole issue at Auburn, okay, they spent millions and millions and millions going through coaches, the Gene Chizicks, the Gus Malzahn's, spending so much money. Where do you think that money comes from? Boosters.
Absolutely.
Boosters. Yeah, the richest man in Alabama owns Yellowwood. I'm sure you've seen the commercials.
Yep.
With the woodchucks and all that. Owns Auburn graduate. Big time supporter of Auburn football.
I think any coach would tell you the hardest place to play to coach in all the United States is Texas, because not only do you have to coach football, now you have to coach these kids. Not only you have to watch over your program, but the buttering up and the kissing of Texas boosters' asses.
Oh yeah,
is the worst in the country. It's the worst in the country.
Yeah,
those boosters in Texas demand time from the Texas coach, and they're the ultimate decision makers when it comes to who the coach is going to be, man. And I believe that's why they haven't really had good quality stand-up coaches other than Mac Brown. Mac Brown had to deal with that crap. Then went to North Carolina. Now they're begging Mac Brown to go back to to Texas. You know what I mean?
It's all the schools.
It takes a special person.
It's all like Texas A&M. You had Kevin Sumlin down there for years. Kevin Sumlin's a great coach. Do I think he got in over his head? Absolutely, I do. Do I think he's a great coach? Yeah, heck yeah, I do. Steve, Sarkisian, he's out there now in Texas. Do I think he's going to do a good job? But yeah, I think he's going to put Texas back on the map. If how long is he going to have to do that? Probably a season. He goes out and he loses 4 or 5 games, and they're already looking for another man.
Really? You're exactly right. I mean, that's it. I mean, it's the Jerry Jones syndrome, man. I mean, that's the mentality down there. I hate to say it, but Jerry Jones is no different from any other booster down there, man. No. Really. I mean,
a pocket full of money, he can do whatever he wants.
That's it, man. I mean, that's it. Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see it, man. As I said, I can't wait. The season's getting ready to start, man. I mean, we only have a couple more weeks, and it's ready to roll, man.
I'm anxious. I'm ready for it. It's been too long since I've seen a college football game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that spring ball sucked. That was horrible.
Yeah. We got some of our local schools were playing, like Birmingham Southerns, which is just these small time schools. They played theirs in the spring. You couldn't go watch them because it was all like, can't do it because of COVID. Only family members allowed, kind of thing. And it sucked. I hate it.
It's a shame. Yep. All right, moving on to the next subject, man. Wow. Baseball. Let's talk a little bit about Major League Baseball. I'm a Nats fan. I do follow Chicago sports. I listen to 670 The Score all the time out of Chicago, man. But, talk about super teams and super conferences, man. The Dodgers the rich get richer. They won the World Series last year. I put an asterisk by it, by the whole COVID year, man. You play 80 or what they play 60 games or 50 games last year.
Yeah.
And you win the World Series. That don't count to me, man. No. But my God. They got my boy Max Scherzer, and we knew Max was gone. The Nationals knew that Max was 37 years old. He did his thing, man, had a heck of a career, won 92 games with the Washington Nationals. That's half. He won 181 games, 92 of it was with the Nationals. He had a 20 strikeout game, won a World Series, multiple no-hitters. The list goes on and on. The accolades. He is he's revered here in Washington, D.C., but we knew that he was going to go. We knew it. And you can't pay in that 37-year-old arm, and extend his contract out, and especially the kind of money that he wants. So, Max, thank you for all you've done. We knew you were going to go. We heard that he was going to go to San Diego Padres. And then, everybody was kind of like, putting memes up of him in being brown uniforms in San Diego. But then a bombshell dropped on us. Not only did Max Scherzer go, but Trey Turner went too, man.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, when did this happen? I mean, Mike Rizzo, who is the GM of the Washington Nationals, drops this bombshell on us. We're like, what in the world did we get back? And then the fire sale did not stop.
Mm-hmm.
We had Kyle Schwarber, he's gone. And then we had Jan Gomes, he's gone. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. A lot of the guys you probably never even heard of.
Right.
But come to find out, looking at these guys, other than Trey Turner, who's 28 years old, most of these guys that we got rid of 8 guys, 8 seasonal veterans that basically were almost all in their 30s.
Yeah.
And we got back 11 prospects from the league. And we got younger because the Nationals did a terrible job in their farm. Their farm absolutely was horrendous.
Yes.
We were throwing all our eggs in one basket. We got rid of Rendon, our third baseman, World Series. Almost should have been a World Series MVP as far as I'm concerned. But Rendon left, went to the Angels, and we had this guy named Carter Keyboom come. He's a complete bust. And so because our farm system sucks so much, we had to do a fire sale. But I cannot believe what happened here. Now, look, we've got Juan Soto. Okay, Juan Soto, top 5 player probably in the Major League Baseball right now. I mean, no doubt about it. He's going to demand $500 million. His agent is Boris, Scott Boris, who will bring him to free agency. There's no doubt about it. So it's going to be a bidding war. All of Scott Boris's players go, and then we had to make a decision. Trey Turner's contract ended in a year and a half. Do you trade him now and get a bunch of good prospects, or do you wait a year and a half and try to extend him out? But there's no way the Washington Nationals were going to be able to sign Trey Turner, who's going to demand $350 million. Yeah. And then you have Juan Soto's contract coming up in 2 years, and he's going to demand $400 or $500 million. And if anybody knows anything about the Washington Nationals, the Lerners own them, and the Lerners are the cheapest freaking people, other than the Tampa Bay Devil Rays owners, in Major League Baseball. So Mike Rizzo had no choice but to sweeten the deal and bring Trey Turner into the deal with Max Scherzer over to the Dodgers, which I don't know what the Dodgers are going to do, man. The Dodgers are stacked. They have an all-star team by themselves, dude.
Yeah. You could play an all-star game against the Dodgers, really. Look, and you hit on it a minute ago, their farm system didn't do what they needed to do. You got them and the Cubs, both. They're directors of player personnel. They get them from Wish because it's terrible, absolutely terrible. How they've done these guys. Cubs in the same boat, man. I mean, the
Cubs. I feel bad for the Cubs. I feel bad. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are Cubs fans, and I was watching some Twitter, stuff going on, man. I mean, they were literally depressed. I mean, and I understand because I'm depressed too, man. When losing Trey Turner and Max Scherzer, and you have those World Series, memories that, made me literally I was crying out in my truck listening to it, as the final pitch was going on, man, just so happy to, our baseball team won. But, the Cubs went through it in 2016 too, man. Yeah. And to see Chris Bryant leave, Javi Baez, their star shortstop, leave, Rizzo leave, and the list goes on and on. I mean, but those are your top 3 guys that helped the Cubs win that World Series, man. Yeah. And they're devastated. I mean, Chris Bryant,
that's a terrible. And look, I don't know if it's a money thing. What is it, Trammell, or what's the name of the owner of that? Is it Trammell? Starts with a T. Whatever it is they're doing. Unless they sell the team, the Cubs are going to be a mediocre team for years to come because they're not putting the people in place that they need. Look, I ain't a coach, I ain't a GM, I ain't an owner of no major league team, but I can tell you right now, it's got to start at the bottom. You got to start at the bottom and build your way up. And right now, those 2 programs they don't really seem like they have it together.
Well, I mean, again, it's kind of like the NBA, man. I mean, a lot of these players are coming and grouping up, and the Dodgers. I mean, there's no one's going to beat the Dodgers. No, I mean, tell me, who's going to beat the Dodgers? Chris Bryant went to the Giants. The Giants actually lead that division right now, and the Dodgers are looking up at them. But at the end of the day, if the Dodgers make the wild card, dude, they're going to freaking – their pitching staff is absurd.
Yeah, it'll be a train wreck. Look, my team's the Atlanta Braves. we lost our best player, so whatever. I watched
Acuna is amazing, by the way. I mean,
dude, that guy, he's
and the Braves were smart. They locked him up early.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we got a ton of talent. That Dansby Swanson, he SEC ball player, came from Vanderbilt. Shortstop. Could we have a better shortstop? Yeah, we probably could.
Yeah.
But, we locked up that young group of guys. You got Acuna, Ozzie Albies, Dansby Swanson. We locked up that core group of guys pretty early. And that they'll probably spend the majority of the minus Swanson. I think you'll see Swanson go somewhere in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
They'll look for somebody with a little bit better bat. But at the end of the day, like our first baseman, Freddie Freeman, loved him to death. He's done a lot for Atlanta. I mean,
but he's getting old.
He's past his prime.
I mean, his prime was about 3 years ago, man.
Yeah.
When he had that awesome. Look, he was a Nats killer. Freddie Freeman just going down the road, as far as I'm concerned. He killed the Nats every time he had a chance, man.
I mean, that guy.
But I mean, look, see, the Mets are head of that division now. I mean, the NL East. They just got richer. They did get Javi Baez. And then Rizzo went to the New York Yankees, and then his first at bat, he hits a dinger out 455 feet.
I mean, you could have wrote that on a rock. Like
100%.
As soon as I heard that he was on the chopping block, like if the Yankees didn't pick him up, they were stupid. And they pick him up, and first thing he does is go up there and just bomb one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's insane. But
I
don't know. It's a shame to see this fire sale go on, especially with two clubs that literally just won World Series no more than 4 or 5 years ago, and to see all these star players, get booted off, and but you got to rebuild, man. I mean, the only thing I can consider it close to is what the Florida Marlins did back in the '90s, where they've stripped the team down. They got a few different free agents, and they brought on all these little supers like Gary Sheffield and all these guys that came in and won the World Series. Then they completely got rid of the team, and then they rebuilt, and then they did the same thing. And they won. Actually, they won 2 World Series. Yeah. I think was it both against the Yankees? I think it was. The Florida.
Got to spend the money though, and that's the thing. The Nationals ain't going to spend it. The Cubs ain't going to spend it. No. And that's the thing.
No, they're not. They're not. But it's sad to see all these moves like this, man. I feel sad for guys who continue to buy jerseys. You might as well just not buy jerseys anymore, because a lot of your favorite players are just not going to be there anymore, man.
Yeah. No, well, it's a business. At the end of the day, us, we sit around, we watch it, and sometimes you forget it is a business, and people are here to make money, and if you're a player, obviously you want to go where you can make the money the most, and whether it be the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Oakland Athletics, I mean, my gosh, or Seattle Mariners, you got 2 teams out there that I think they're probably as broke as just about anybody in Major League Baseball. But if you can go there and make $20 million a year, why wouldn't you?
I don't know why you wouldn't, man. But I mean, do you see anybody? Do you see anybody beating the Dodgers?
Look, the Giants have been a thorn in a lot of people's sides for a long time. They're a solid club, really solid club. And like you said, the Dodgers looking up at them right now. No, I don't. I mean, really, I think, you've got probably 75 games left or so, 70 games left in the season. Plenty of time. I don't know the Dodgers schedule, but I think you're going to have several opportunities for the Dodgers to pull within striking distance of them. Wild card, whether it be, to make the playoffs, you're going to see them probably in the National League Division Series, if not the Championship Series.
Right. Really. Yeah, no doubt. Well, I mean, look, you had made a comment about you never quit, and, you're going to fight to the very end.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to show you somebody. We're going to probably piss off some people, but I'm going to show you somebody we're going to talk about real quick and get your thoughts on this. But Simone Biles, speaking of quitters, man, dude, I'm concerned about the modern day athlete, man. She is by far the best gymnast. And look, let me just say this. I don't give a crap about gymnastics, okay? I do give a crap about my country and representing my country and the messages that you're trying to portray, especially to the younger kids. And this whole crap about the fact that, she had to withdraw for mental reasons. Well, first of all, why weren't you prepared mentally?
Yeah.
Okay. You had 4 years to prepare yourself, 5 years to prepare yourself for this Olympics. And number two is, we know it wasn't mental. There's a couple articles on Fox News and such that says she got what's called the twisties. Now, I don't know what the twisties are when it comes to gymnastics. I actually had to look this up. But it's basically when you're doing your flips and stuff, your body just doesn't perform the way it should because you got this mental block. Okay. Mm-hmm. She's trying to say that she had the twisties and it's a mental health problem when it really was a physical problem. And she withdrew out of the entire Olympics, man. I am concerned where this is going because professional athletes, and you know what, everybody's so much on board saying, oh, this is such bravery. This is such, she's so brave and she should be a hero because she's, worried about her mental condition, all this other stuff, dude. Are they going to use now excuses of not being able to perform because of mental issues?
Yeah, they are. Look,
come on, man.
You hit the nail on the head. You trained for 4 years to do this, all right? You trained for 4 years just to get the chance to qualify to go do this. So you come through all this qualifying stuff, and all of a sudden you get there. You know exactly what's at stake. It ain't like she's a first-timer. She's been here before. She knows this.
She knows the gauntlet. She's defeated the gauntlet.
Yeah. She knows what it takes to compete at this level. And then all of a sudden you get here and, I'm not mentally prepared.
I'm not. Listen, unfortunately, this is so new, but I'm more concerned about the newer athlete because you've got Michael Phelps out there now talking about what the struggles he went through. But, dude, you know what, Michael Phelps, you went through it, but you overcame it, and you got 22 or 24 different medals, okay? You didn't quit.
No.
You didn't quit.
No.
And, look, man, maybe I'm hardcore, but the generation of softness has got to stop.
Oh,
if you're going to be an athlete and getting paid for what you're doing and self-proclaimed the greatest gymnast, she said that herself. She's the self-proclaimed, greatest gymnast ever to walk the face of this earth. If you're going to talk all that, man, for God's sakes, don't quit.
Here's my problem with that. You have how many millions of 10-year-old gymnasts that look up to this Simone Biles? I mean, they think like
100%.
She's the GOAT. She can do no wrong. All of a sudden, now you got a bunch of mamas and daddies that have paid bukus of money for their child to go compete in a Saturday gymnastics tournament or meet or whatever it is they do at gymnastics. Oh, and then little Susie comes up, Mommy, I'm not mentally prepared. Like,
oh my God.
This daddy would have a coming apart. Like, we're going to have a come to Jesus meeting, and you better mentally prepare yourself right now. You're not going to be prepared for what's going to happen when we get to the car. All right.
Absolutely.
You don't quit on your team.
Colin Cowherd made this comment, dude, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Did you hear about what he said?
No.
Colin Cowherd said, what Simone Biles has gone through in the Olympics, Michael Jordan and Tom Brady has never, ever gone through in their life.
Look, you're comparing apples to oranges because Simone Biles, I know they have qualifiers and they have meets and all this stuff all the time, but you take an 80-game NBA season or a Tom Brady, a 16-game NFL regular season, all right, that's 16 weeks. Simone Biles needed to perform for two weeks. That's it. Not even full 2 weeks. Like, you're talking about maybe 5 days out of the 2 weeks.
How about 50 seconds?
Yeah.
For a routine.
Really. 50 seconds that you couldn't mentally prepare yourself to go walk on that beam. Look, I'm not an elite athlete. Never claimed to be, never will be. I don't know what it takes to walk on a balance beam. I don't know what it takes to twirl on a bar. I do know that if you can say you're the best that's ever been, all right, everybody in the country knows who she is. Everybody in the country has watched this woman perform at such a high level. So nobody knows Simone Biles better than Simone Biles. Okay, if there is something going on, my hat's off to her, but don't make an excuse of I'm not mentally prepared. Just come out and say, hey, look, I've tweaked my ankle. Whatever.
Michael Jordan and Tom Brady have never quit during a competition, ever.
No.
Don't ever tell me that has never happened. Simone Biles quit during a competition. And then another thing, she left her teammates hanging. And the fact of the matter is, somebody could have taken her place. If she knew she wasn't mentally prepared and did not want to compete, she should have stayed home, okay, and let somebody else who was wanting to compete for our country and the most medals compete. She blocked a roster spot, man. That's what drives me crazy about it.
But, well, and the thing about it is that luckily the U.S. is so, I mean, they're just loaded with talent that you had Suni Lee come in. She's from up there in Minnesota, Michigan, somewhere up north, and she come in and just took her place and never missed a beat. Never missed a beat, and she came right in, and you know what? 18-year-old kid was mentally prepared.
Isn't that amazing?
Prepared. I mean, imagine, golly.
I'm super, as I said, I'm super concerned that we're going to be now using the excuses now that if you don't perform, that you have mental issues, and we're going to push everything into this mental awareness and all this other stuff, man. I mean, look, we are losing this generation, man. I mean, we are the gap between the greatest generation and then the soft generation. You know what I mean? And what did we do wrong? I mean, what do we do wrong as parents? What do we do wrong? As we train our kids, man, you got to persevere, man. Life is not fair. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be given everything that you ask for. You have to work hard for it. You have to earn what you get, man. We failed, man. It's our generation.
It is our fault. It's not the kids' fault because look, they've never been made to do it. They don't know any different. Everything is so easy now. I mean, like you and I, we sit here and talk to a screen right now. All right, these kids, their face are buried in a screen 12, 14 hours a day.
100% agree.
I've got a 12-year-old son, and I make no bones about it. Like, he plays football. He goes out and he does his workouts. He does everything he's going to do. But when he's not doing that, guess what he's doing? Sucked into a PlayStation, sucked into a TV, into a phone, something. And
it's like TikTok and YouTube and Facebook, wherever they're doing now, Snapchat and everything else. I mean, the virtual world has raised our kids, and
that's your pandemic right there.
The virtual world is not real.
Yeah, that's your pandemic.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, and so anyway, I don't want to. We can go on and on and on about that. But I want to finish with this topic, man. It's the great NFL, or it was the great NFL. Let's just say that. You know what I mean? It's coming up, man. August 15th, man. We've got some preseason going on. We got training camps already in store, man. We've got already some pretty interesting NFL news already coming out, man. Obviously, the offseason was pretty interesting. We had, scandals regarding, Deshaun Watson from the Texans, 22 counts of sexual assault that is being thrown against him. It's blocking basically him from being traded.
I don't think you beat that.
No, I don't think so either.
One or two.
One or two. Exactly. But the Texans are a mess because the Texans have trade capital. They want to trade him. They've already announced that they want to trade the guy, right? What team is going to want that over their heads? As great as a talent as he is.
Yeah, it's a dumpster fire. Nobody wants that. I mean, I don't care if you're, well, at one time the Tampa Bay Buccaneers needed a quarterback pretty bad because the one they had was terrible. And even Tampa Bay probably wouldn't bite on that because it's a dumpster fire. Bruce Arians would never allow that guy in his facilities.
No. And it's even worse. I mean, Deshaun Watson doesn't want to be there.
No.
I mean, he's just there because he doesn't want to get fined.
Well, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
I mean, obviously him and the owner are at odds. He's accused the owner of racism, and he wanted what's the Colorado's old coach, Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah.
As a coach, and they didn't hire him. So I mean, he's just distraught, and he's basically the Texans are a mess. Texans are an absolute dumpster fire, like you're talking about.
That program is going to be. This is a ripple effect that's going to last for a while. Like this isn't going to be cured overnight. It's not going to be cured this season. You're going to talk about, throughout the draft. You're going to have guys that are probably going to, want to try to avoid getting drafted by them just because of all that's going on in that program. I really see this being a long-term issue for them, and not just with Deshaun, but their coaching. All that. It's a mess.
Tell me if you heard this story before, man. Carson Wentz is hurt.
Oh, surprise. Look, that guy has his name. He's got his own room. Okay.
at the hospital.
Yeah.
They named the X-ray machine after him. They named it Carson. I mean, this guy is a walking, sling is what he is, man.
Yeah.
Got traded, left the Eagles, went to the Colts, starting his old new career, man. Indianapolis is happy to have him. Thank God the Bears didn't sign this guy. Thank God. I know the Bears were looking, but they didn't sign him. As much as we hated the Andy Dalton signing, but Carson Wentz went to the Colts. And dang, if didn't know it, man, the first freaking day of training camp, he's got a foot injury and he can't hardly walk.
The Colts spent a lot of money this offseason on that offensive line. All right, they just gave a tackle like 4 years, $75 million for a tackle. All right, so they spent a lot of money to put a lot of beef in front of this guy to protect him.
So it's probably the best offensive line in the NFL right now.
Absolutely. I mean, Dallas, you could probably throw some numbers at Dallas too, and do some comparison. But yeah, I mean, the Indianapolis, look, and this goes back to the Jeff Saturday days at Indianapolis. Like, they've always had a solid offensive line. Really, they have. Carson Wentz, I saw this at Philadelphia, and you could you knew something was off in Philadelphia because your backup quarterback comes in, Nick Foles, and takes you to a Super Bowl. I mean, correct. The reason that guy was starting was because the amount of money they threw at him. He had to be the starter. You can't pay a guy that kind of money and put him on a bench. You can't do it.
You're 100% right. Look, the Colts offense, Quentin Nelson, by the way, is probably – I mean, he's a guard, but he's the best guard in the NFL, man. The guy's just a machine. Yeah. You have a legitimate good quarterback behind that offensive line. They were going to do some damage, man. But this is Carson Wentz. This has nothing to do with the offensive line. This has nothing to do – it was a freak injury, But every time Carson, gets on the NFL field, it's always a freak injury. Now, he got his butt kicked in Philadelphia. That offensive line was god-awful.
They're terrible.
And, Jason Peters went down. All these guys went down. I think they were in their third string offensive linemen across the board in Philadelphia. They just got just wrecked out there. But now you put this kid behind a really – I think this really – between the Raiders and the Colts, I think there's probably two best offensive lines in the NFL. But this guy had a chance. But, dude, he's got to just – I mean, look, the best – ability is availability, man. You got to be up there and leading your team, man. They say he might be out all of training camp. It might be the best thing for him, man, is don't touch an NFL field until you're healthy, bud.
Yeah. Who is Bridgewater still at Indianapolis? Who's their backup?
I know it's Jake. Let's see. It's Jake. Let me see here. I can't remember his last name.
Because I was a big Bridgewater fan. He came here last
year. Jacob Eason.
Okay, yeah. Okay, Jacob Eason. He's a Georgia boy.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Jacob Eason.
I was a big Bridgewater fan. When Luck went down one of his 17 times, he got hurt. And I don't know what it is, but since Peyton Manning, the Colts can't keep a healthy quarterback.
No, they can't keep a healthy quarterback.
And it don't matter how much money they throw at an offensive line, their quarterback's going to go down. I mean, like a rubber band would take one out right now. I firmly believe it.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. I mean, I like the Colts. I mean, I'm not a Colts hater except for when they beat us in the Super Bowl. But it's a shame to see that going on. Speaking of hating, the Green Bay Packers, man.
Oh, I was fixing to ask.
This is juicy, man. I mean, Aaron Rodgers had at odds with I think his name is Gunter Kuntz as the GM of. And Mark Davis, who's the president of Green Bay Packers, and man, they hate each other. And Aaron Rodgers had a press conference this week, dude, and it was 17 minutes of bliss as a Bears fan, just hammering the Green Bay Packers front office, man. Dude, they suck. They suck.
The fact that he's staying, like they must have pictures of him screwing a goat or something. I don't know how he's staying.
They probably do. I mean, knowing Aaron Rodgers, he's definitely screwing some kind of animal.
Oh yeah. Because why would you? I mean, you hate your boss. You hate some of your players. Look, this isn't the first time this guy's done it. I read an article a couple of years ago. He doesn't even like his own family. Like he has nothing to do with his dad or anybody.
Yeah, he doesn't talk to his mom or dad.
Yeah, like in years. So this guy obviously, like, I want to look in the mirror. I think he's a fantastic quarterback. Followed up Brett Favre, and he's done a jam-up job ever since. But, my God, dude, look in the mirror. If you're having problems getting along with somebody, once or twice probably, could be the other person. But
Donald Driver, one of his great wide receivers, can't stand the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, can't stand the guy. I mean, talks about he's a locker room killer. Just listen to him talk about in the press conference.
Yeah.
That guy's supposed to lead. I mean, yeah, he's a great quarterback, man, but he is not a locker room leader. I'm sorry, man. No. That guy, I haven't stepped one foot into an NFL locker room. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But God, man, there's been plenty of people that cannot stand Aaron Rodgers. And, look, dude, here's the deal. Brett Favre had to face the music, man. Yeah, he kept on talking about there was no plans for me past 2021. Well, guess what, dude? You're 36 years old. Okay? I mean, you're not on the TB12 diet. Get the heck out of here, man. It's
Brett
time
Favre
to move on.
Was the greatest quarterback. Like, I love Brett Favre, the toughness he played with. I mean, the dude, if you ripped his helmet off, he'd still go. I mean, that's just how that guy was.
He's ready to go now. He's 51.
Yeah. He's in some trouble right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he has to pay back a bunch of money on some stuff, and that's another subject for another time. But, yeah, Green Bay Packers, another dumpster fire. We should start a segment on the show called The Dumpster Fire.
I agree with you, man.
Because we've got some topics to talk about.
Yeah, we can exactly. We throw a lot of NFL players in the dumpster fire right now, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that's it.
It's bad. What about the Cowboys? What do you think about them?
Yeah, well, I mean, Dak Prescott. Look, we were laughing because in the Bears community, we're talking about Andy Dalton got Dak Prescott paid. Andy Dalton was so bad in Dallas as a backup quarterback. They had no choice but to pay Dak Prescott.
He was in the last year, the last little bit, and they weren't sure with that injury. We had no idea. For everybody at home that doesn't know, he had a gruesome leg injury. He wasn't sure he was going to get anything else. This could have been a career ender for him easily.
Oh, no doubt. It was gruesome to see, man. I mean, he was having a record season too. He was on pace to go 6,500 yards through the air last year, man. That's how good this quarterback was. But Rod Marinelli, who was the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys last year, man, he must love Swiss cheese, man, because that's what his defense was. Nothing but Swiss cheese. And you know what? He came from Chicago, and he knows what a good defense is supposed to look like. And their linebacker core, I mean, they are solid speed all the way through and through, man. They had a couple injuries on their defense, man, but they were inexcusable. We talk about records. They were going for the record of the most points scored against any team in the NFL in history, dude.
Oh, I can believe it. They were terrible. Their defense. They had what's the linebacker that went down? I can see his face.
Van Noy.
Huh?
Van Noy.
Yeah, Van Noy. Yep. He goes down last year, and he was that glue that holds that Swiss cheese together.
Oh yeah.
And then when he goes out, dude, I mean, it's Katie bar the doors. It's everybody scores. You're getting a touch. Everybody's getting a touchdown today. Yeah,
I hear their defensive lineman Lawrence, who just got paid a big contract. He's now got back problems. He's got. It's just the list goes on and on for him. And did you see the Jerry Jones press conference when he was crying?
No, I did not.
Man, this is juicy, man. So he was talking about him and basically how he wants to get back to the Super Bowl so bad, and that's obviously his goal. But he's talking about the evil days of prior past, where he talked about him and Jimmy Johnson were going after each other, and basically how he really screwed that relationship up, man. And oh yeah. I mean, it just how he was crying about it. He was admitting it, how he didn't handle that situation right, and how he was apologetic, and he goes, I just don't understand how I screwed that up, man. Barry Switzer got on there, and he was talking about when he was talking about Jimmy Johnson and where he was going to go, and Jerry Jones said, "Hey, he's gone," and Barry Switzer was like, "How could you F this up, man? How could you F this up? You let the best coach in Dallas Cowboy history leave?"
Yeah. Just leave him alone. Let him do his thing, Jerry. I mean, you're the owner. You're not the coach. And you see it time and time again, with the Raiders. I mean, what you call it? The owner,
Al Davis.
Al Davis, yeah. Same thing. It's the exact same thing. But look, you had Troy Aikman. You had Michael Irvin. You had Emmitt Smith. Moose Johnson. You had You had the team. You have a squad of the. Let them go. Let them play.
Incredible. Yeah, I mean, but ego kills, man.
Yeah,
Ego is a terrible thing, and then the ego of Jerry Jones has literally cost them 25 years of pain and agony. Actually, 26 years of pain and agony that they haven't seen. It's sniffed the playoffs since. So, speaking of not sniffing the playoffs in quite some time, since 2010, the Chicago Bears.
The Bears.
Look up, man. Start to look up, man. Man, look, we haven't had a quarterback since Sid Luckman. You understand that? Like, Jim McMahon is not what you call the elite quarterback. Jim McMahon did one thing and one thing well. You know what that was?
He managed the game.
He turned the ball, said hike, and gave the ball to Walter Payton.
Yeah,
That's what he did well.
That's what he did.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he gave the ball to Walter Payton, and Walter Payton did everything else. But we haven't had a quarterback in a very long time. And I'm going to bring something up that is being talked about in Chicago, and I really want to hit this. We've had an opportunity to get many different quarterbacks in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
We've had an opportunity to get the likeness of Michael Vick.
Yeah.
We had, likeness of even back then Doug Williams and everything else. Chicago and the McCaskey family had always something against a black quarterback. They always had something about a black NFL quarterback leading their team and becoming the face of the franchise. And this is known throughout Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always been, this image. Why do you think they picked Mitch Trubisky over Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes? Because they could not fathom the fact that their face of the franchise is going to be somebody of color, which is sad. And look, Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson should have been a Chicago Bear. And you go up to the number 2 spot to go get Mitch Trubisky, for God's sake. Everybody knew this was going to be a disaster. But it fit their narrative. Finally, and I think this had to do with a lot of pressure. I mean, not only from Chicago fans, but also internally with Matt Nagy. Ryan Pace had to sit down and shut up and let Matt Nagy, the adult in the room, pick this pick.
Absolutely.
Finally, we got a quarterback, which I believe is going to be the best quarterback of this draft. Look, Lawrence is going to be good, but I think Justin Fields and his talent and how he absorbs and just his mental game is so strong. Man, I tell you what, he is going to lead the Chicago Bears. You mark this down. In 2 years, we will win the North, and we'll be back in the playoffs. In 2 years.
2 years. 2 years. Okay.
2 years. Yep.
I agree, but I disagree about one thing. I don't think he's going to be the best quarterback of this draft. I think he is going to be Chicago's saving grace. I think he's going to do a lot of good things up there as long as they can keep him healthy and develop that player, that mentality of an NFL quarterback. The problem is, though, he doesn't have that veteran guy that can really just show him the ropes. I mean, he's Mr. Trubisky. I mean,
hold on now. We got Nick Foles and Andy Dalton in that quarterback room. Nick Foles was an MVP quarterback.
I completely forgot he's there.
We're keeping Nick Foles right now as a third stringer, paying him $10 million a year just because we want Nick Foles to help develop Justin Fields.
And you need a guy like Nick Foles. Nick Foles, he's been to the Super Bowl. He's won the playoff games on the road. He's done all those things he's got to do. Nick Foles is a great, great guy. Yeah. Going back to what I said, though, look, Alabama guy, I got to go with Mac Jones, like being the best quarterback in the draft.
Man,
look what he did.
I know that's a homer thing, man. I don't see it, dude. I don't see that, man.
Look where he's at. He's got the Bill Belichick system, the Bill Belichick program up there. If he can do what he did with Tom Brady, and I know
he going to beat out Cam Newton though, man?
No. Cam Newton was washed up in North Carolina. Like, I've never been a Cam fan. I watched him play. Look, that guy had all the talent in the world around him, and he still couldn't execute. Cam Newton's garbage. I've never liked Cam Newton.
He is garbage. I don't like his attitude. That's one of those mentally weak guys that I was talking about, man. I mean, look, when he didn't fall in that fumble in the Super Bowl, that's all I needed to hear. That's all I needed to hear.
He literally backed up from the ball. Instead of diving,
because he didn't want to get hit.
Backed up from the ball, and I thought, that guy, he does not want to win. He's all about what can Cam do. And you know, that right
great
there,
college quarterback, man. I mean, dominated at Auburn.
Yeah, he was a man amongst boys. Really?
Yeah, he was.
But,
Yep. But Cam Newton's career is very disappointing, man. It could have. It's a career that could have been.
He could have been a Michael Vick. He really could have. He had all the intangibles that the Michael Vick quarterbacks look for and want. He's got he was so much bigger than everybody else. But, you know, he fell by the wayside because, you know, whatever system he was going to go into wasn't going to fit the Cam Newton. So the coaches were going to have to adapt to him. He could not make the NFL throws consistently. He Barn Hog finds an acorn every now and then.
Yeah,
and that was his thing. If the guy wasn't running down the field wide open, Cam Newton probably wasn't going to hit him. Realistically. And then you saw last year with the Patriots. I mean, you know, you see it. God, what do they have? Like 2 games in a row where they scored a touchdown or less?
Yeah,
like that's
not Patriot way, man. That's not the Patriot way.
That's true. Bill Belichick over scratching his head like, what do I do now? Then they go out and they get this Mac Jones kid who just threw the cover off a ball at Alabama, set all kind of Alabama SEC school records, did all that. Now you got to bring this guy in, and he's got Cam Newton to look up to. Like, I think you're going to have some bumps and bruises, and I think you're going to have some growing pains. But ultimately, I think Mac Jones' career could really be – I don't think he's going to be like the Greg McElroy where he sits behind somebody for 3 or 4 years and maybe gets a chance down the line. I really think that Mac Jones has that career.
Well, I tell you, man, and after New England's performance last year with Cam Newton, Josh McDaniels by far ruined his chance ever to become an NFL quarterback, man. No doubt. Yeah. You know what I mean? Dude, he's done. I mean, he's going to stay with Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick's going to leave. Josh is in the running to take that coach's position. But if I was the owner, Robert Kraft, and I saw that kind of performance last year out of that quarterback club, man, I don't know if I'd do it, man. You know what I mean?
Well, see, here's the thing is we talked about it earlier. When we're talking about college stuff, you got NFL players now that you don't really get to tell them what to do because they're grown men, and especially guys like Cam Newton. Cam Newton probably looks at him and says, "I'm gonna do what I want to." And you know, like I said, I'm not in the room, but you just kind of have to think that's Cam's attitude going forward. And so Josh McDaniels, he was handcuffed the day they signed Cam Newton. They did this to him. They handcuffed him.
You know, the guy I'm looking forward to seeing really, other than Trevor Lawrence, I want to see what Zach Wilson does at the Jets, man. I mean, there's a problem though. You got to give this guy some talent, man. I mean, you can't let this quarterback die on the vine like this, man. I mean, you know, he's got a great personality. He reminds me of Jim McMahon, honest to God, coming out of BYU.
He's a tough kid. He's a baller.
He reminds me. He's got the charisma. He's got that, you know, that swagger. He's got the headband going and all that stuff, man. He reminds me a lot of Jim McMahon. But dude, man, you got to let this kid, you know, develop and nurture. Don't throw this kid on freaking field day one, man.
No.
Even if you have the worst quarterback out in the world, just hand the freaking ball off somebody. Let him. You got to let this kid nurture. And in New York, you know how that media market is, man. They'll tear this kid up in a heartbeat, man. But I feel sorry for him in a way, man, going to the Jets. But hey, we'll see.
The speed of the game is so much different in the NFLs than it is college level. I mean, you can go watch a college game on Saturday and then go right, you know, next door in some places and watch the pro game on Sunday. And the way these guys run, the defensive line, the safety, it's night and day difference. It's night and day difference.
It is not even close. We got one more team we'll talk about. We're going to hang this up, man. Did you see what happened with Kelvin Benjamin and the New York Giants?
No. What did I miss?
This is hilarious, dude. Kelvin Benjamin, okay? You know what kind of wide receiver he was with Cam Newton out of Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Florida State guy, right?
Yeah.
Florida State guy.
Yeah. 6'5", all American athlete runner. I mean, you can flat out fly.
He checks in at the OTAs.
Yeah.
257 pounds as a wide receiver. They told him to come back as a wide receiver. They told him to come back. Hey, man, drop down to 251. Okay. He shows up at training camp at 268 pounds.
Oh, my God.
And they cut him. And out the door, you know what he did? You know what Kelvin Benjamin did out as he was getting cut and left?
Grabbed the
donut. He went to the cafeteria and swiped a bunch of food.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious, dude. This guy ate himself out of the NFL. Kelvin Benjamin, extreme talent.
Yeah.
Out of Carolina. He came to camp at 268 pounds, dude.
That's a tight end.
He ate himself out of the NFL, dude.
That's a tight end. Like Tim Tebow doesn't weigh that much.
What a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, the Giants, man, that's another team that, okay, so they were talking about Joe Judge, right? Kelvin Benjamin on his way out was talking about how bad Joe Judge was. And he said that Joe Judge will never amount to anything as a head coach because all he does is sit down and cuss. And, basically he said he knows nothing about NFL. All he knows how to do is cuss. And, of course, the players are trying to now back Joe Judge for the Giants. And they're like, look, man, this guy's a great coach. This is what we needed. Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones are all like, this is exactly what this team needed a disciplinarian to get us back to where we need to be and everything else, man. But, of course, I mean, dude, Kelvin Benjamin, come on. You'll never play in the NFL. 268 pounds as a wide receiver. Get the heck out of here. That's like Jared Lorenzen being a 300-pound quarterback out of Kentucky.
No, hefty lefty. I mean, look, was he on the Eddie Lacy program? Because
the Eddie Lacy program ate himself to death.
Jesus. I mean, you saw Eddie Lacy. I mean, he was like a beach ball with legs. I mean, that guy,
dude. Oh yeah. I mean, and that's another guy. I mean, it's just it's a shame, man. I mean, it's a shame that we're big guys. I mean, we're not going to joke on them, man. We like a little bit of buffet food every once in a while, man. But, man, we're not professional athletes either, man. But if your life is like that, man, dude, 268-pound wide receiver ate himself out of the NFL. What a daggone shame, man.
I mean, he's got to be like 4'6", 4'8", 40 at that weight.
I don't think he's even that, being 268. Nah. Come on, dude. Like you said, he's a tight end.
Yeah. I mean, if that's what he was going for, great. But the Giants need a wide receiver.
Yes, they do.
They don't have OBJ no more. They don't have them guys no more.
All right. One last thing. We'll get out of here. Give me your picks, man. Give me your picks right now. NFL, Super Bowl teams. Go.
Look, I got to go with KC, man. I think Kansas City, they reloads. They got their feelings hurt last year. Tom Brady and the Bucs. I don't think they repeat. I don't think Tom Brady repeats.
They got every starter back, dude. Every starter from last year.
Yeah, but I just, look, Tom Brady's a year older. He's throwing the ball great. Bruce Arians, I have the utmost respect for Bruce Arians, what he's done down there at Tampa Bay. I just don't think that they can get it done this year. They looked up and had some stuff go their way last year. It was Tampa Bay's year.
Right.
I don't think they make it back to the Super Bowl. I really don't. And it's going to sound kind of crazy, but I think Dak, and I'm not a Cowboys fan at all, but I think Dak Prescott, he rejuvenates that team. He brings them back to what they were, before his injury. I'll be anxious to see what Dallas does. You'll see them deep in the playoffs. I think you really will see them deep in the playoffs. Another team I really like to watch will be Seattle this year. A big Russell Wilson fan. I always like.
Yeah, but you know what though? I mean, we can talk about that some other time. But I think this whole Russell Wilson thing about trying to be traded from Seattle, I think that's going to hurt the team chemistry, man. Because
it very well
basically saying, "Look, you don't want to be with us, man." You know what I mean? Yeah, so he almost wanted. He was almost a Bear. The Bears offered 2 first-round draft picks, and a boatload of other secondary picks for this guy.
Pete Carroll stepped in and blocked that, I believe.
And blocked it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you're going to see Kansas City. Like I said at first, Patrick Mahomes, man, Tyreek Hill, those guys are they're Travis Kelce. Those guys are lights out. I mean, they are. They need a little help on the defensive side of the ball. I think they shored up some stuff this offseason. They needed to shore up. I think you're going to see Kansas City taking it all this year.
Man, the AFC is going to be tough to pick, man. The AFC, Kansas City's there, but you know what? The only thing I'm worried about Kansas City is they lost a lot of people in their defense. They had to, because of the salary cap situations.
They shored some stuff up, though.
I believe it or not, man, my pick out of the AFC this year is actually going to be Buffalo. I love the Buffalo Bills, man.
Yeah, I could look.
Josh Allen's top 5 quarterback. Their defense is solid, man. Stephon Diggs is a dynamic wide receiver. They have a great running. Singletary is a great running back, man. I love Buffalo, man. I really do.
Buffalo's going to give anybody a run for their money. Like, they had a jam up year last year. I mean, they came from zero to hero last year almost.
Out of the NFC, dude, I'm gonna tell you this. I'll give you my pick in a minute. Who I think is going to go to the Super Bowl, but you mark this down: the Detroit Lions will make it to the playoffs this year as a wild card.
Okay,
I think they get the last playoff card spot in the.
Are we riding this in the rock?
I'll write in rock, man. I mean, it's on video, it's on film, but I like Detroit. I mean, look, I hate Detroit. Don't get me wrong. You cannot like Detroit if you're a Chicago Bear fan, but I like where they're going, man. I love Dan Campbell, man. I love that guy, and I love his intensity. I love his discipline, and these guys will literally run through a brick wall to go for this guy, man. But I think Detroit Lions actually show some stuff, man.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
That one, but okay.
But my pick for the NFC is going to be the LA Rams. Matt Stafford has got weapons, and Matt Stafford never had these kind of weapons in Detroit. Matt Stafford has never had this offensive line. Stafford has a genius as a head coach. Yes. The LA Rams are going to make some noise, man. I think the LA Rams actually go to the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be LA Rams and Buffalo.
I liked the Rams the past couple of years with Jared Goff and what they were able to do, but they stumbled a lot. I don't know if you remember the Monday night game 2 years ago where it was the Rams and the Chiefs, and it was like, don't even bring a defense out because we're going to run through them kind of thing. And look, that was a heck of a game, and I thought then like the Rams are going to compete year in and year out as long as they keep this system and this quarterback. And then last year they didn't, and I don't know, but yeah, I like the Rams.
I just can't bet against Sean McVay, man. I mean, the guy is he's super excited about it. I mean, Aaron Donald will always be, look, Aaron Donald, just give him the defensive player of the year again. If he stays healthy, he's got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a wrecking ball. You have Jalen Ramsey on the outside. Dude, yeah. I mean, and their linebacking core is young. I like the Rams, man. I do.
I tell you, my son is like a big Aaron Donald fan, so I started watching some YouTube videos on him.
Bears were one pick away from him.
Have you seen that guy's workouts?
It's insanity, dude.
Like, dude, it's unreal. Like, so we try to emulate some of that stuff, and it's like there's okay, sorry, buddy, you ain't got it. Like, you can't do that.
Quick trivia: where did Aaron Donald play college? Where did Aaron Donald play college football?
Where did he went to?
Time's up. Pittsburgh. Pitt.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
He was one pick away from the Chicago Bears, man. We had him. And then go ahead.
You finished your story, then I was going to chime in with something else real quick.
Yeah, but the Rams jumped us and picked them up, man. So it just drove me crazy.
All right. So best running back in the league right now is who?
That's a great question, dude. Henry.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if
Alabama.
Most of the Titans, but we kind of like the Titans. That's going to be my surprise team. Like I think
I have Tennessee winning. I have Tennessee winning their division. Yep.
Ryan Tannehill's got another weapon on the outside.
In the AFC South, man. I mean, look, Texans are a dumpster fire. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. But yeah, I like Tennessee. I do.
Tennessee that's going to be a tough team. If they're going to need a few breaks, but look, you better watch out for them come later on. December.
Well, they just picked up they picked up a wide receiver out of the draft that is just a fireball. It wasn't in Alabama.
Yeah.
Let's see.
They got what's his name? They got Julio Jones, and then
Julio Jones. Yeah.
So they're going to be loaded. I mean, they are going to be loaded.
AJ Brown. That's who. Yeah, that's who I was thinking about. AJ Brown.
They had AJ Brown and Julio. You got one on one side, one on the other, and you got Derrick Henry in the middle. If you can't throw it over their head, run it through. I mean, and that's going to be.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who they picked up though. Let's see.
They got a tight end. They've got another tight end. Anyway, hey, by the way, did you see the Gardner Minshew interview?
I did. Yes, I did. Where he talks about he can't take a crap because he doesn't finish he never.
It's not an option.
Number two is not an option. That's the greatest quote, man.
That's going to be a quarterback race right there.
That is the greatest quote, dude, by far.
Trevor Lawrence is he's the quarterback of the future down there. But look, Gardner's been down there for a couple years now. They're just stud. I like Gardner Minshew.
The Titans picked Caleb Farley, cornerback from Virginia Tech, in their draft.
Yes.
So,
and then they have they got a tight end, and I can't remember who it was. I think they traded for him.
Maybe so, but I do like Tennessee, man. I really do. I mean, the running game, the ball control, the defense, man. That's old football, man. I love it.
They'll win their division. Derrick Henry, those guys are going to be solid. You keep an eye out for the Titans this year. I'll have Henry on hopefully at least two of my fantasy teams, and
he's a man child, man. I mean, the guy is just. I mean, you talking about workouts, man. That guy's workouts is just.
Dude, he is as solid as this concrete floor, man. He's just a brick house.
100% agree, man. Well, dude, that was a lot of fun, man. Talk about the SEC, some baseball, some Olympics, and the NFL, man. It's coming around the corner. Let's do this again soon, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, you let me know, man. And I'll polish up on some more stats, and we'll do it again.
Absolutely, dudes. All right, man. Well, that's it. That's the first episode of the Greg Nosar Show, man. Talking sports, man. Not a bit of politics. I love it, man. We just talk sports, man. This is good stuff.
What's a politic?
All right, man.
See you,
Have a good night. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.